Solve one-step equations with multiplication and division. Now, the reason we put these two together is because multiplication and division are inverse operations. What that means is they undo each other. So if you think about, let's just take the number 5. If I have, this is my starting value. If I first multiply 5 by 4, I get 20. And then if I divide by 4, I get 5. So you can see I multiplied, I divided, and I ended up where I started. Inverse operations. They undo each other. So that's the idea when we're solving equations. We always want to use inverse operations to get the variable by itself. Now, I'm a very visual learner, so when I'm looking at this problem, 3x equals 18, and I need to solve this, I take a colored pencil or a crayon or something like that, or a red pen, something, and I put a dashed line through my equal sign. This tells me whatever I do on the left side of that line, I have to also do on the right side. Math is about equality, and equations are equality. You have to do the same thing on both sides. Now, our goal is to get this x by itself. So we think, what operation joins the number and the variable? And in this case, the 3 is touching the x. When a number touches a variable, that's multiplication. So if I have multiplication, I want to do the opposite. So the inverse operation, or the opposite operation, is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Again, equality. Now think this through. What is 3 divided by 3? Well, that's just 1. So I have 1x. And remember, if our coefficient is 1, we don't have to put anything in front of it. It's simply just the variable. And then on the right, I have 18 divided by 3, which is 6. You can always go back and check and say, okay, if x has the value of 6, then back in my original equation, 3 times 6 equals 18. Yep, that's true. So you can always check things out. Let's do another one. Solve x divided by 4 equals 8. Okay, so again, I'm going to start with my line through my equal sign, and I'm going to take x divided by 4. Well, if I have division, the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. Now, when you think about the left side, if you're multiplying by 4, that's the same as 4 over 1. So when I'm multiplying, basically I'm multiplying fractions at this point, my numerator and denominator are both 4, so those can reduce down to 1, and I am left with, as you can see here, 1x. On the right, I have 8 times 4, which is 32. So to check that, I would have 32 divided by 4 equals 8. And that's true. And at this point, if you're thinking, well, I can do all of this in my head, I don't need to write it down. I understand that some of these can be pretty simple, but we're going to work up to bigger and longer equations. And if you don't know how to write down the steps, those can be very difficult. So I recommend you start practicing the steps with the easy ones. And here, my friends, is not quite such an easy one. 6 equals 3/4 times x. So I have myself the equal sign, and I'm thinking through on, so the right side is where the variable lives, and I have 3/4 times x. So by our definition, I'm going to divide both sides by 3/4. So I'm going to rewrite this out so we can see this. So I have 6 divided by 3/4 equals 3/4 divided by 3/4 times x. All right. Now, if I'm dividing fractions, I keep the first number the same, and I multiply by the reciprocal, right? Keep, change, flip. So on the right side, I have 3/4 times 4/3 times x. And when I think this through, you'll notice the 3's cancel out. We're on the right side here. The 4's cancel out, and I'm just left with x. That's why it works. Because when I multiply by the reciprocal, the numerators and the denominators cancel out. Now on the left side, I can reduce 3 and 6 because 3 goes into both of those. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2 times 4 is 8. So 8 is my answer. If you want to check this, we would say, okay, 6 equals 3/4 times 8. So on the right-hand side, I can put that 8 over 1. and then think, okay, 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 8 2 times, and then 3 times 2 is 6. And so it works. So that is solving one-step equations with multiplication and division.